Hey there everyone, it's Darren DOG from darrendog.com here again. Just following on in this mini-series for women looking at aspects of the feminine, magnetism, radiation or radiance, and resistance. Obviously the main theme has been resistance of late because I think it's the big one that most of us need to work with in terms of what is sabotaging us in our lives, in terms of what we're attracting and what we are letting in or not letting in. What are you resisting too much, and what are you not resisting enough? So this video is going to be about the quality of man that you are attracting. Yes, massive subject. Those of you who saw the Facebook posts that triggered all these videos will know that this subject, the theme that triggered them, has been around the masculinization of modern women, and where a lot of things which are being put down as being women power are actually, while they are women power, they are aspects of the masculine of the female, which means that while they are good for empowerment as a woman, they are not really good for attracting men. Because if you are sitting in your masculine mode, you are not going to be attracting a very good quality of man, basically, because men aren't attracted to other men, unless they're homosexual, of course. And this is how important polarity is, because even in homosexual relations, you will find one feels more masculine and one feels more feminine, because you cannot escape the polarity aspect. Somebody is always giving, somebody is always receiving, and it doesn't matter whether that changes which way it is, that quality of polarity is still there. Now, as I mentioned in those written texts, I'm going to have to speak about it because obviously not everybody who's watching this video read them. I was speaking about how in my tradition, the Toltec lineage, the masculine archetype in women is called the mother. And it's called the mother because it's what it is. Basically, when women are in their masculine, they think and act like mothers, even if they are not biological mothers themselves. And in a relationship, if a man is not being in his masculine, then he will be in his feminine, which is called the boy. But the woman cannot help but then be in her masculine, which is the mother. So if you have found yourself in a relationship where you have felt like the mother and he has felt like a boy around you, that is because the polarities are the wrong way round. Now, it's fine in relationships for the mother and the boy to have a relationship because his feminine, which is the boy, and your masculine, the mother, must have a relationship of sorts. It's about whether it's healthy and whether it's balanced by enough of his masculine, the man, and your feminine, the woman, for you to feel satisfied and fulfilled and nourished as a woman. And what has happened in most of the women that come to me is that that's not the case. Basically, the man has been in the boy too much and she's felt like she's been in the mother too much, and it's been an unsatisfactory situation that ends up leading to the end of the relationship, or at least a situation of mutual resentment and potential bitterness. And this is an inevitable result of women being in the masculine too much and men being in the feminine of the boy too much. But of course, I have to explain what I mean by saying, well, what makes the mother the masculine? So, my teacher, Theun Mares, is the master of this. He's no longer with us, but he is who I learned this from. I've been applying this for 22 years now, no, 25 years now, and I've been teaching for 13, and I have never seen this archetype disproven. And I'm not taking the credit for that, and I'm not giving Theun the credit for that. The Toltecs carry the credit for that, for their incredible acuity of perception and their ruthless objectivity. So credit, hats off to my lineage there and my predecessors for their incredible astute observations. So let's explain this. So there's a reason why we have to explain this, because if you enter into your omega energy and you're opening up to receive and you want to open up to attract a new man, but you're sitting with motherly thinking, or you're sitting with the standard mother tropes inside you about men being boys, or about men not being good enough, or about men being unreliable, whatever, and you know, whether you're hopeful that you'll attract something different or not, it doesn't matter. The seeds of that in you are going to be drawing that in. Absolutely no good. So this is why we have to know about what we mean by the masculine and the mother, so that you learn how to stop doing that, so you can attract, so you can get into the feminine and attract actual masculine men. So Gender is like intent to the Toltecs. So you know intention? So gender is like intention in that you can't see it. You can only see its effects. You can't see my intention. You can only see the results of my intention. And similarly, gender, you can't see gender, you can see the results or the effects of gender. And because gender is a fractal, it just turns up everywhere in every atom of the universe, in every interaction and in every relationship there is gender. And when we look for the various effects of it is when we can start to pin down what it's about. So in the Toltec tradition, they would say that men carry this spark. So this is in obviously electromagnetic gender. The masculine is the electrical, the magnetic is the feminine. So the Toltecs would say that the men carry this spark. And the spark is the electric charge, both for change and for preservation. Okay, and that this quality in men meant that almost like their rightful place and where you would find them and where you would find that energy is at the edge of things. So that you would find an electric membrane at the edge of a cell or at the edge of an atom or at the edge of an atmosphere. That you would find a membrane that was semi-permeable that could stop some things from coming in, but let others in. And they would say this is very much the masculine boundary keeping quality. And they would say that the men would have a spark that allowed them to leap into the unknown, to face the void, the unknown, for a short period of time, for new resource and new material, to face the teeth in the night, and that it's a short-lived burst. The spark can give men a temporary hardness to withstand that unknown for a short period, but then it's gone, as if it never was. And this is mirrored both in male stamina in battle and also in sexuality. And they would say that this meant that this gave rise. I don't have time to go into all the background of it in this video. It will be elaborated on in my book, and certainly Theun Mares elaborates on it in his books, The Quest for Maleness and Unveiling the Mysteries of the Female. But those are his books, by the way. And so we have 5 qualities that let you know are functions of the masculine almost. One is patrols and preserves the boundary. Another one is leads the way into the unknown by virtue of his ability to adopt temporary hardness. No other reason. It means that he can withstand the force of the unknown just for a short period and basically take the blow. So he leads the way, he shows the way, and demonstrate and does a thing called prescribing the method, which is because he's found the way in the unknown. That might be cutting through the jungle, it might be digging a hole to find water, it might be whatever. Because of the virtue of finding the way, the masculine prescribes the method, as in says how it's going to be done. Here is how we cross the river, here is how we get through the jungle, here is how we're going to put this thing together, here is how we're going to do that. The method. And finally, the final function is that the masculine demonstrates all that by example, not talking about it, not telling someone else to do it, by example, doing it. Okay, again, I don't have time to go into the background as to why all of those are masculine here, but they are covered in Theun's works and in my other works. The reason I'm mentioning them here is so that you can understand why that makes the mother archetype the masculine in women, and it is because for the first time, when she becomes a mother, she performs all those functions for another human being, which would traditionally have been the function of a male, which would be to patrol the boundary, to lead the way, to bring in new resource, to prescribe the method, to demonstrate. Those are all things the mother does for her children. She patrols the boundary, she brings in new resource, she shows the way, demonstrates by example. Entirely masculine function. She draws the lines and makes the points, also masculine. The child must be open to receive those points. They can't be drawing the lines and making the points and taking charge, can they? No, they don't do those things. All they may do is resist, which we spoke a little bit about in the last video on resistance and how children demonstrate resistance. And it's because of that very reason that the feminine in men is called the boy. Because when a man is a boy, he has no points to make, no lines to draw, no boundary to patrol, no resource to get, no methods to demonstrate. He must be open to receive the penetrations of the world and to conceive with those points, just like a woman does. And as such, he is in the female, the feminine, when he's a boy. And these two qualities, these effects of gender, are what give us the Toltec archetypes of the mother and the boy. But the thing is, they're not like accidental archetypes that you overlay onto a situation. It is literally what you will feel. It's not like a behaviour. If you're in a gender relationship and a man is in his feminine, he will feel like a boy. There's no man I know that won't admit to that when you get past his bravado. He feels like a boy. And a woman, if the man is in his boy mode, she cannot help but mother him. She can't help but see him as a boy. It's not because he is a boy, he's clearly not. He's in a man's body. Why does she see him this way? It's not behavioural, it's not learned, it's pure gender. It's a proper archetype. You can't escape it with behavioural dynamics, you escape it with gender dynamics. If you want to break out of attracting boys, you need to stop being a mother. Men, if you want to stop attracting mothers, stop being the boy. That's it, in a nutshell. So that seems all well and good for you women out there that have said, well, you know, I can open to being the feminine, I can do all that, I'm still attracting boys. And it's because of, if you remember from the last video, because guess what, I filmed this straight after, it's all about knowing, it's all about what you know and what you think you know. So it's all well and good to say, oh, I'm opening up to a new man, I want a better man this time than that last one. But if you have not changed your internal orientation and dynamics, you've got no chance. Zero chance. And here's what I mean. If you are sitting in the mother mode, if you are thinking men are boys, if you're looking around, hoping that there'll be a man to disprove it to you, they've got it the wrong way around. All you're going to get is men that prove it to you. If you think a little bit like, you know, when a canal, you know when a canal boat is on the canal and it's going into a lock, you know, so it's going into two parts of the canal that are different heights. So what happens is the canal is at the boat's in the canal at this height. It wants to get to this height. It moves into the lock gets sealed, and then bzz, the water level raises, and then the boat can go out onto the new level of the canal. This is what you've got to do with your judgment and expectation of men. Okay? You have to change how you hold your feelings about them all the time. You have to change them so that you basically put yourself into a lock saying, okay, I've been in this place of viewing men as boys and being a bit resentful, being a bit upset, holding out hope, but still feeling those things. That's this lower level of the canal. You are never going to attract a solid man from that place. You're never going to attract a masculine man from that place, or even a balanced man. It ain't going to happen. Instead, you've got to get yourself into the lock of self-development, and from there, then change your vibration and change your outlook, change your knowing, so that when you open up those omega gates, you attract in the right quality and you're ready at that level. So that you are actually producing the energy of like attracts like, because at the minute what you're getting is like attracts like, whether you realise it or not. You're sitting in the mother and you're attracting the boy. Even if you think you're not, that's what's happening. The evidence is on the table if you've been attracting boys. Okay? So, how do you get around that? Change all this internal wiring. And to do that, you need to heal your judgment of men. You need to heal your judgment of the masculine deeply, on a very deep level. And I'm going to help you do that right now. So, this is an ancestral healing process that we need to go through now. And basically, you need to let your wounds of the masculine be healed by the greater masculine. So you have had personal wounds or judgments or conclusions or knots arise because of your personal experience of stories you've heard, tales from people you know, and your own experience of men. And they've created certain tensions within you that are affecting what you're attracting. These are what you need to deal with if you want to change what you attract. Okay, and you have had individual smaller men affect you on a personal level. The only way, we can't do anything about those men now. I mean, maybe they're working on themselves, maybe they're not. There's nothing we can do about that. But they are a small fragment of the masculine. And the larger masculine is way more powerful than those few individuals. The larger masculine is way more benevolent. It has way more goodwill, and it has way more capacity than what you have experienced. And the evidence of it is all around us. And I would hope to connect you with it in a way that allows you to feel its caress and its support, so that you can align with that positive support that's already in your life, the positive gifts of the positive masculine that you have already received and you're already using on a daily basis. And if you can change your tune, your attunement to honour, appreciate, accept those gifts, accept the generosity of them, accept the goodwill of them, accept the nurturing of them, they will heal the wounds that you have got and allow you to attract a much higher quality of man and masculine into your life. And we have to do it as an ancestral healing. So what do I mean by that? So if you ask Native Americans, for example, original Americans, to be PC, if you ask them where the ancestors are, they would say the ancestors are in the rocks and the trees. And your average Westerner would be like, all right, okay, mate. Because we don't connect with that. But what I will say to you is that our ancestors are somewhere else. We can find them. We do have ancestors in the rocks and the trees, but the average Western mind cannot perceive them there as yet. They need to perform this other healing first, which is the one that I'm about to share with you. So, when people are looking around for the gifts of the feminine, the evidence is in our bodies, isn't it? It's like, well, my mum gave birth to me, and all the mums in the chain before them gave birth. The feminine and the females have been doing their job of their divine role of continuing the species. What a wonderful job they've all done. We're all here. The game continues because of the sacrifice and the service of females gone by, our ancestral females. What a great and honourable sacrifice that they gave of their time and their resource to allow us to have this experience. This is huge. But I often notice that when people are looking around for the gifts of the men, people are like, what are men good for? This is women. What are men, even men, what are men good for? I don't need a man. What do I need a man in my life for? What have men ever done that's not oppressive to us? And honestly, when I hear these things, it makes me want to weep. Weep at the blindness. Weep at the ignorance. And weep at the loss of connection to the generosity of the men in the past and the masculine around us. So our men, the men of the past, our ancestors, have done such a good job of their role that we can't even see it. It's become invisible. And in fact, I'll tell you this now, and you'll know what I mean in a bit, but when many women out there now are claiming woman power and female power as they're waging a war of revenge or vengeance or penance on men, that they're actually using the gifts of the masculine to do so. So what do I mean by that? Well, as I mentioned before, men, the masculine is found at the edge, devising methods, finding the way. And what our men have done is that they have codified their knowledge and their experience and their wisdom into tools and processes. Because right now, nothing has changed in 100,000 years, in that it takes as long now as it did 100,000 years ago to start a fire from scratch without tools. Just pause for a moment to consider that. It takes as long now as it did 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 years ago to build a shelter from scratch without tools and processes. These things have not changed. Okay? And what our ancestors, our men, did as they were in terrible, arduous conditions, out in the weather, out in the elements, devising methods and processes to keep us sheltered and safe and warm. And I discovered this when I started leading men into rites of passage, what I call over the edge, my rite of passage called Right at the Edge. And I found that when I led men over the edge, which means into the unknown, into new experience that they didn't know what was coming beforehand, so they could reconnect with their own masculine, what I found was, I found a thing that I call the bubbling pool of goodwill that is the spirit of man. The bubbling pool of goodwill that is the spirit of man. And once you allow this in, the spirit of goodwill can bring you deep healing. You have to manage your resistance. You have to manage your no. You have to want to know. You have to want to heal the masculine, the judgment of it, the experience of it. And there's a lot of people out there that don't want to heal it. They want to keep on their war of vengeance or attrition or petulance. No, I don't want to heal. No, I don't want to positively view the masculine. No, I don't. Well, those people will keep having their judgment of the men being validated, to be quite honest, because this is a magical world. And what I'm talking about doing is how you can open the sliding doors into almost parallel realities where all of a sudden a world that seemed empty of good men suddenly seems full of it. Full of them, because that is what happened to me. I'm not speaking as some theoretical exercise. I went through this process of having a negative view of men and having men that validated that, to doing the internal work and realizing, letting the ancestors and my understanding of their gifts heal me, so that then all of a sudden all these amazing men have entered my life. This is why I'm sharing it with you. It's not a theoretical exercise. So I was taking men over the edge, and the spirit of goodwill is this. I have been tested. It was arduous. It was miserable. It was hard. What can I do so that next time I or those who come after me can do better, stay longer, go further, go deeper? What can I do so that those who come after me can do better than I did? And if that's me, great. If it's somebody else, also great. And that spirit is what is in every tool and comfort that stands between you and the nearest piece of wilderness. For all those people out there who want to destroy everything men have done, demolish the patriarchy of men, you need to go and sit in a field with no protection for weeks, forever. That is where you need to be if you want to destroy the men's gifts, destroy what the men did. You need to go and be without shelter, and be without tools, and be without comfort, because they are what the men have given us. Consider this. Consider a saw that you go and buy for £9 from a DIY store. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to build a shelf this weekend. I'm so capable. I can do any DIY task. I don't need a man. I can do this. I'm going to go and buy my saw, my drill. Yeah. I'm so cool. I can do these things. It's great. You can. You take that saw, £9, and it'll give you a straight edge. You can cut a decent cut in wood with a £9 saw. It's not going to stick too much. It'll give you a nice clean cut. And people think the saw is a designed object. Like somebody sat down and goes, oh, I'm going to design this contraption for sawing through wood. Look at this, here's my saw. Angle, taper, edge, do. No, that is not what happened. The saw is a refined object that has had thousands, if not millions, of iterations before you got your fancy pants £9 saw. The saw arose from usually men, mainly men, sitting in the snow and the rain and whatever, without shelter, going, why is this stuck? Why is this not cutting again? I'm going to have to walk 3 days to the blacksmith and wait 2 days for him to sharpen it so that I can come back here and do this again. What can I do so that those who come after me can do better, can go deeper, can stay longer? I can refine the taper. I can change the angle of the teeth. I can make the handle more comfortable so that my hand doesn't ache as much. I can change the materials so they don't stick as much. There's maybe, if you think about the saw, the number of people involved in giving you that saw that cuts so well, it makes you feel so cool and capable. There's maybe 5,000 ancestors in there. That tool is like 5,000 ancestor power. And if you want to challenge that, then try and do it without the saw. How long is it going to take you to cut through a bit of wood with your hand, your bare hand, like this? Okay, how long is it going to take you? A long time. a very long time. You would not be the cool smarty pants DIY person without the power of those 5,000 ancestors in your hand making you feel so cool. That's pure ancestor power in your hand there, making you that competent DIYer, making you that able carpenter. That's just a saw. What about the drill? I'm going to drill 4 mil in concrete. Oh yeah, 60 quid. For £60, even less, 35 quid. Barring physical disability, that you can go as a human being, otherwise armed with fingers and teeth, that you can go and drill 4 mil in a wall, 6 inches deep, 4 mil thick, in a concrete wall. Hey, how capable am I? I just stuck up this basketball hoop in a wall. I am so capable. How many ancestor power is in that drill? Millions. Millions of ancestors' resources. Going through that process, what can I do so that those who come after me can do better, go further, stay longer, worry about something else, do something more significant than worrying about the rain on their head or being warm in the winter. Our ancestors took care of that so that we don't even have to think about it as long as we pay the bill. Shelter, warmth, so you can go further and go deeper. What are you doing with those gifts? That's a side point. To get more back onto this point of the masculine, look at the car, the mobile phone. The number of innovations that we take for granted, that we have appropriated from our ancestors, callously, without appreciation, without gratitude in the appropriate direction, for our benevolent benefactors who enabled us to have our heads filled with such bizarre interests as the modern human does, because they don't have to worry about the rain on their head. They don't have to worry about being warm or the rain. Again, the rain. So, and it's not just tools, processes. Okay, all the massive changes and victories of the last 100 years have been because of law. And the law has come from men working out what is fair and just. Working out how to resolve problems where the consequences are our sons dying, screaming in blood and agony, and our daughters and wives being raped and violated, as these kind of competing narratives for humanity have battled over recent centuries. In the West, we have such benevolent ancestors who have wrapped us, garbed us in incredible shelter, incredible processes that allow us to engage in so many sophisticated maneuvers without having to do what they did. And so 2 points. One, I ask you, what are you doing with our gift? As you sit there, sheltered, clothed, enabled by tools and access to things like the internet, 50 billion ancestor power, you know. But the second point is, can you see it as the gifts of the masculine? Can you see the gifts from the men to say, be warm, be sheltered, I want you to do better, I want you to worry about something else. I don't want you to have to worry about this food. I don't want you to have to worry about this resource. Please, accept my gift. Now, our capitalist culture may have put a cash price in between us and our access to those condensed ancestor gifts, but that doesn't change what those gifts are, and that is that those people handed over those innovations for all of us to be able to use, if we had the resource to get them, to have all these tools and all these processes to make our life so much easier. And so I ask you, women out there, if those of you who are waging war or believing in vengeance upon men, that men somehow oppressed, how does that look now when you see how many gifts you are wrapped in that have come from men? How many of you think about The men who may keep the power going, the masculine that keeps the power going so you can keep rattling on the keyboard. You know, the ones that keep refining the fuel so you can keep driving your car to all your parties and your whatever, your work and all this sort of stuff. Feeling so, I'm strong, independent. I'm a strong, independent person. I'm a modern man. I'm a modern woman. I'm a strong, independent person. There's no such thing. We're utterly dependent on our ancestors' gifts and on the efforts of other human beings. And when it comes to structural stuff in the Western world, we are dependent on the efforts of men who are doing stuff, jobs that we don't want to do. How many of you want to be squelching about in the sewer to make sure the water keeps moving? How many of you want to be sweating away in the rain on the power grid with deadly shocks being the consequence of getting it wrong? How many of you want to be in the mines? How many of you want to be doing those sort of, you know, structural preservation jobs? These are some of the gifts of the masculine, to do the jobs others don't want to do. Now, the bitter mother archetype takes that as her due. She's like, well, of course the men do that. I deserve it. I earned it. They owe me. That's the bitter mother. And she will use all the gifts of the man and appropriate them and believe they are her right. And she will never have a man in her life that can show her what treasure and joy men in the masculine and women in the feminine can have together. However, if you can follow the thread of that narrative and to be swept up by noticing how you are garbed, literally garbed in your ancestors' gifts, garbed in their whispered support for you to go further and do better. If you can connect with that, it will bring ancestral healing and it will bring masculine healing. And if you allow yourself to consider the efforts of all those men, the sacrifices of those men in times gone by, to heal any tension, resistance or knots you may have, and to begin to appreciate the efforts and the ingenuity of these men and how they have made your life so much easier, if you can do that, that will put you into a vibration of welcome of the masculine, appreciation of the masculine, adoration of the masculine, and a complementariness to the masculine. If you want a man who's going to adore you, you need to be in a position of adoration of the masculine first. Remember the canal lock? You've got to get from where you are now to there. This process can do that if you let it sink in. This story can do that. I have a longer video talking about this that I'll share with you all, but the essence is right there. The thread, the breadcrumb trail for that masculine healing from the greater masculine and from your ancestors is there. I have given it to you. You just have to, if you want to connect with it, if you haven't got it from my narrative, go and step into the rain with your waterproof on. Or be in the shelter looking outside while there's terrible weather and adversity out there. Do something where you're contained by one of these gifts and allow yourself to move into the space of gratitude for not facing the adversity. Say thank you to your ancestors within and around you. Well, it might sound a bit woo-woo. I don't care. This is how gratitude works. If you've never said thank you for the gifts of shelter and clothing and garbing and processes, then why not start? And okay, even if the people who did them aren't there, it doesn't matter. This is about you being in this lock space, claiming you want to attract a better quality of man. I'm telling you, this will do it. But it's got to be a deep cleanse inside. You must get rid of all resistance that says men are boys, men are shit, men are unreliable, men are this. Because those tension points are going to attract you more of the same. The process I've just mapped out of seeing the gifts of the masculine in tools and processes can become a tsunami wave of healing that I am offering for you to ride upon. So that then you can change that internal state to being one of welcome and interest and curiosity about the masculine. And then when you look up, when you come from that place and you open up your Omega energy from that place of, wow, well, I didn't really notice all that stuff men had done before, but now that I have, goodness me, what a mystery. What might be in store for me? Oh, what newness might a man bring for me? You get yourself into that place. Oh, you could meet an interesting guy. Anyway, I could talk about this for a long time. I've already gone over, I've set myself a new limit of like half an hour for videos because I can talk for hours and hours, and I've gone over my limit of half an hour for this video. So, I've covered a lot in this one. We've covered why the mother is the masculine and the boy is the feminine, a little bit. And we've covered, even if you're in the omega state as a woman, why you will still be attracting boys or poor examples of men, despite you feeling like you're being open in the right way. And it's being because of your knowing state, what you think you already know, what you're storing up as tension in the body. The verbal process of ancestral healing I've just given you to see the gifts of the masculine in tools and processes can dissolve those past tensions if you let it. Now, I'm happy to help that go a bit further with you if you need to. If you need some one-to-one attention with that, get in touch, darrendog.com, or look up some of my other videos. You might find something in one of them that's going to help push this along a bit further for you. But otherwise, I really hope there's been something useful in here for you. I've gone over my time, so thank you very much for your very precious time and attention. It's been a pleasure. I hope my points have been well made. These are some very difficult points to make. Hopefully if you join in the conversation, in the comments, in the narrative, anything that's not clear can be cleared up in the sort of afterflow. Thank you again.